you love amateur storm chasing, I'm going to share with you all my tips, tricks on how to capture this stuff on your iPhone. I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. I'm going to show you all the gear you need, which is actually not a lot of gear. I'm going to show you how you can sell your work as well when you capture fantastic sequences of storms. If this sort of stuff behind me interests you, this video is definitely one you should watch out for, because you are going to learn a hell of a lot in this storm chasing video. Check this out. Still photos of storms are actually probably the easiest things to take on your iPhone, and they're easily shareable because of their small file size. Now, I usually capture stills using my ultra wide angle lens in regular photo mode. I find that a really reliable setting to capture the scale of a storm. The other stills mode I love capturing storms with is pano or panoramic mode. Both of those modes are great for capturing the broad sweeping scale of a storm front approaching. I don't use any fancy camera apps. I use my regular camera app on my iPhone. I find it fantastic. The one thing I would suggest you do is to always remember to long press on the brightest part of your scene to lock that exposure. It's particularly important when you're using pano or panoramic mode, so your exposure stays consistent as you rotate your way through the frame to reveal the scene. Here's a medley of example stills that I've captured using just my iPhone, its inbuilt camera app, and Mother Nature. Video mode on your iPhone is really well suited to capturing real-time weather activity, such as naturally fast-moving clouds, or the impact of high winds, or the noise of hail or heavy rain. Those things work really well in real-time video. Here's an example of a waterspout that appeared near our home, and video was the perfect medium to capture this waterspout because it can show how fast it travels, its range of motion, even the reactions in audio of people watching it as it approached the coastline. Now, it's not anything great and artistic. In fact, the framing of the scene was a little limiting, as the water spout appeared really quickly while I was walking down the end of my street. But this video was actually snapped up by a local news network because it displayed its proximity to homes and its unseasonal appearance on our coastline. Time-lapse mode on my iPhone is my absolute favorite go-to mode for storm capture. You will need to attach your iPhone securely to a tripod to capture a storm time-lapse smoothly, but I'll cover that later off in this video series when I talk about the gear kit that I use. Time lapses are wonderful for capturing the scale and the drama of large sweeping cloud fronts, and for that reason I usually film them on my ultra wide angle lens setting, with the exposure locked with a long press on the brightest part of the scene. No sound is captured with a time lapse, it's just vision only. I find that low angle, shooting really close to the ground using my ultra wide angle lens and then tilting up to the sky, gives the most dramatic effect. Where a second iPhone is available, I will always capture a second time lapse with a different lens setting, usually my tele or my wide angle lens, so I can actually concurrently capture two different shot sizes of the very same storm scene. Now, filming with two iPhones maybe sounds a bit problematic and over the top, but it does allow me to edit both time-lapse recordings together to give two complementary captures of the one scene. The ultra-wide angle recording conveys the scale and contrast of the storm cell, whereas using a tele or a wide angle will zero in on dramatic detail within that very same storm cell. Now, the Slo-Mo video mode on your iPhone will allow you to capture really spectacular lightning strikes. Your iPhone will actually have two different Slo-Mo speed settings that you can record with. You can either capture Slo-Mo in 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second, which will slow down real-time action by 800%. And when we're capturing lightning, it's that 240 frames per second we really want to be filming with. I also lock the exposure with a long press on the frame. Now if you don't lock the exposure on your iPhone in slow-mo when you're capturing lightning and a flash occurs, you will find that it overexposes the frame and you won't see any detail in the lightning strike. So it's really important again to long press and lock the exposure on screen and then drag that exposure slider down slightly just to be ready for the intense brightness of a lightning flash. Slow-mo mode will also capture sound, and you can very easily enter edit mode on a slow-mo video clip to stipulate which part of the video you want to play in real time and which part you want in slow-mo. Now dragging these slider controls back and forth at the begin and the end of your clip will create edit points for both real-time and slow-mo sections of your video. You can elect to have your entire clip play in slow-mo, or like me, you can just zero in on one particular section, which is the lightning strike, and then it'll slow down to that beautiful 240 frames per second to play back the lightning strike in all its glory before returning back to regular speed video. Of course, if you just want to save just that lightning flash itself to your camera roll, you can drag the in and out points on the clip in and around the slow-mo section, so it's not saving the entire video file, it just captures that moment of gold that you want to show everyone. Here's some footage that I captured during 2 recent storms where slow-mo worked beautifully, and I had a third iPhone to capture some behind the scenes footage. Have a look at this. Okay, we've got a bit of a storm cell passing through on the coast here, and behind me you can see that nice big threatening cloud there. Now normally when I go out and do these sorts of storm captures, what I'm actually looking to do is to try and do a time lapse. Today I'm doing things a bit differently. What I thought I'd do is I'd actually come here and I'd record in slow-mo, 240 frames per second, because that way with these lightning strikes that are coming down, I can actually manually speed up the slow-mo file and then go back to regular 240 frames per second slow-mo during the flashes and try and create something really dramatic. Anyway, give it a crack. Here we go. Pardon the pun.